there was a man, his name was Swein. And Swein decided it was time in his life that he would go on a Viking raid. So he found the captain of a ship that was going to be leaving for some place or another to go raiding. And Swein said, "Captain, I am Swein. I am here to join your crew. And although I think you will find me to be a very fierce fighter on your crew, I'm more than just a fighter. I am a smith. This sword here, this one, not this one, because there isn't one here. This sword here, I made it myself. In fact, they call me Swein the Smith." The captain had actually known of Swein for a while. I mean, they lived in the same village. It wasn't a large village. And in fact, nobody really called him Swein the Smith. But he let that go. And he let Swein join the crew. So they fitted out, they sailed off, they came to a village on the coast of somewhere, wherever they were going. Swein was the first man over the rail, and he drew that sword. That sword he made himself because he was a smith. And he was hacking, he was slashing, he was slaying. He turned out to be a pretty good warrior. And there were piles of dead bodies. There was piles of loot. Then the fighting was over. And Swein began a ritual that the crew would come to know of as the boasting. So like, look at these piles of loot. I am a rich man now. And these piles of dead bodies, why, I think my pile is taller than anyone else's pile. Let me see. Olaf, this is your pile. Thorsten, that's your pile. Whose pile? This is my pile. And several on the crew nearly killed him right there. The captain said, no, he's pretty good at what he does. And so Swein lived and they sailed off. They brought the piles of loot with them. They left the piles of bodies where they were. And they came to another village a little farther up the coast. And Swein jumped overboard. And he ran into the village. And he hit a man with his sword. And it broke. Swein continued on, headbutting people, kneeing people, stabbing them with his dagger. And he still had this huge pile of loot. And he still had the huge pile of bodies, which was still higher than anybody else's. And especially, having done it without his sword, Swein began to boast. Look what I did with my bare hands. All right, a dagger. And a little help for you guys. But still, my pile of bodies is taller than anybody else's pile of bodies. And one of them might have said something like, yeah, how about that sword, Swein Smith? Swein pretended not to hear. And they got back on the boat. And the captain said to him, Swein, it was a good sword, but it is broken. Now you'll need to throw it away. We have plenty of swords here you can use. Swein said, no, 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 no. I am a smith. I can fix this. And so he went back into the village and he found a forge. There was, of course, no blacksmith. Swein or somebody else had killed him. But Swein was a smith. And so he took that broken sword and he reshaped it and he worked it and he forged and he filed and he pounded. He really had a perfectly serviceable short sword. And they sailed off and they came to the next village. Swein, the first man over, ran into the village with his short sword, hacking, slashing, slaying, creating, well, not surprisingly, huge piles of bodies. He wasn't doing it with his forehead and a dagger this time. And so there were huge piles of bodies, huge piles of treasure. And Swein began the boasting. Look at this, and then he looked over there and there was somebody left alive. So Swein went running over and he stuck the sword right into the man's ribcage, and when he went to pull it out, some of it stayed in the ribcage. And Swein looked at the broken sword. It's all right, this is a problem, but look at that pile of bodies. Look at that pile of treasure. look at that man with, well, half of my sword sticking out of his chest. And the captain said, Sven, everything you say is true. The pile of bodies, the pile of treasure, the man with half of a sword sticking out of his chest. And while we are on the subject of the half of a sword, that other half in your hand, it was a good long sword. Sven, all right, it really wasn't that good of a short sword. But Sven, it is broken. Now you must throw it away. We will give you a sword you can fight with. He said, no, 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 no. Captain, I am a smith. I can do something with this. So he went to apparently every village was going to have an unoccupied forge. This one was no exception. And Sven forged and he filed and he smithed to his heart's content until he had a really, really vicious eating knife. Look, it's useful. And they sailed off. Sven accepted the captain's offer of a sword from the ship collection. And they got to the next village, and Sven jumped over the rail, hacking and slashing and slaying and boasting. And then, when he was done, the crew watched, and Sven began a new ritual. They called it the snack. Sven found the nearest house, and he pulled out, there was some cheese, there was some smoked fish, and he just very deliberately cut it with his eating knife and said, you know, nothing tastes better than food from the houses of your slain enemies, cut with a knife that you have expertly forged because you are a smith. And nobody could bring themselves to tell him that he was not in anybody's estimation at this point a very good smith. And so for a while it went like that. They hacked, they slashed, they slayed, huge piles of bodies, huge piles of plunder, and boasting and snacking. And this went on for quite a while because, well, Sven's sword being made by somebody else did not break. But one day, he cut into a particularly tough piece of cheese. And the knife broke. The captain looked at him and said, Sven, it was a good long sword. It was, we won't even talk about the short sword, but it was a great knife. That knife held up for quite a while. And that was a tough piece of cheese. But Sven, it is broken and you must throw it out. I think I've got a spare. He said, no, 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 Captain. I'm a smith. I can do something with this. And he went into the forge and he cut, he shaped, he forged, he filed, he did all those things that start with F and smiths do. All right, not all of the things that start with F and smiths. God, what are you people thinking? And he came out with a small stylus. And he pulled from his pouch a wax tablet. Sven killed many men. Many, 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 many men. And the crew looked at the captain and said, can we kill him now? But the captain would not let them. And so then it was. Every village, the hacking, the slashing, the slaying, the huge piles of bodies, the huge piles of treasure. The eating, although he didn't do it quite so much pleasure with a borrowed knife. He wouldn't even call it a snack anymore. And then the boasting, which was really the Chronicles of Sven, as narrated by Sven, and scribed into a wax tablet, with his most excellent stylus that he'd made, because he was, after all, a smith. The sea is a fickle mistress. And ships, they pitch and they roll. And they do something called yawing, and I don't even know quite what that is. But they do that too. And while the ship was pitching and rolling and yawing and thising and thatting, the stylus did something called rolling right off the ship. And the captain said, Sven, I know that you're a good smith, but while it was a great broadsword and a short sword we don't talk about much, and an amazing eating knife and a perfectly utilitarian stylus. Sven, it's gone. It is over in the Swan Road somewhere. And Sven, you cannot make something out of nothing. And Sven said, ah, but Captain, not only am I a smith, I have always fancied myself a skald. And so he made the stylus into this tale that I've just told you today.